Last year we spoke to Fabio Bernabei, who is an investigative journalist based in Rome, Italy, about the Italian drug situation. Now there has been some development, well at least those in favour call it development, maybe others would not call it development. Anyway, it is now come to a situation where it might be possible for people in Italy to get so-called medical marijuana. Fabio Bernabei, could you just tell us what has happened? Because usually we are not used to the Italian government providing drugs to people in this way. What has happened?
Yeah, last week happened such historical event. For the first time in Italy, a person suffering from severe illness and pains get for the first time in Italy the medical marijuana free of charge from a national health system. Why? Because he started some years ago legal action to have recognized its own right to have medical marijuana, to smoke cannabis. We are talking about the crude cannabis leaves, to smoke like a joint, to have some rights. Most important, the other laws against drugs. And finally, a single judge in L'Aquila, in region Abruzzo, recognized this right. So imposed to the local health institution to give to this person a regular amount of so-called medical marijuana. And that's very strange. It's the fact that this guy has just used so-called medical marijuana. In which way? Because we have the previous government, center-left government, Prodi government, set a new law in under which you can have import some drugs, illegal drugs like cannabis, if some other countries recognize it like a medicine, like for instance the Canada. But it's a very expensive method, because this guy, to stay to the example, have to spend 1,000 euros each month to have all the cannabis he need. So this judge set two principles. First, the rights to use medical marijuana to as painkillers. The second, that it's a duty of the health system to provide a free access, free of charge access to medical marijuana. It's a very important case because you talk about Canada. It was the same way happened in Canada. And as we said before, no one scientific institution recognized in any way smoke marijuana like a medicine. So in Canada, but in Canada we have the so-called medical marijuana. Why? Because also there a single judge recognized the human rights of the single ill patient, more important the anti-drug laws. And then finally, after a debate, the Supreme Court recognized for all the nation, not only for single cases, that's right. And the same thing is now happening in Italy.
So what do you think will happen now? One person and one judge has decided that this one person will have access to medical marijuana. Will this mean that it could spread in Italy? Is that this is a precedent? I mean, that other cases might turn up in the same way?
Yes, for one reason, because this person was backed up by an association, NGO, organized, created by a radical party. So it's a nationwide campaign to find out a hole in the legal system in Italy. So there are many legal action in many different cities in Italy. But there is one more reason to be worried. In Tuscany region, the center-left coalition is the majority in that council, regional council. They have write a new law, a draft law, and there is a debate the next month in October in the Tuscany region, and to legalize the medical marijuana with the same method, the compassionate method. So I think in my memory, it's the first time in Italy the draft bill have the first page, all the first page, with an elegy in memory of the former colleague died by cancer, and they wrote they are so sorry that his person died without cure their pains with marijuana. So it's a very, original law, and but they very radical, very liberal law. They establish any rights for any patient, also underage patient, to have their own doses medical marijuana for any chronic or severe pain. So it's a very generic formulation.
Now, what about the federal government then in Italy? Because these are local decisions on the regional level. What's going on in Tuscany?
Yes, but we have about the health system sort of federalism system. So we have now the next two. It's the Tuscany to have a new law, regional law. But the same debate is happening in Emilia-Romagna, in Umbria, and in Puglia. Because it's started not in the scientific arena, but it's made by political organization, political parties. So it's happening. It's regional level, but it's organized. This strategy is organized at national level from center parties, center-left parties.
Mm. So what do the scientific community say about this? Are they quiet, or are they opposed to it, or do they support it? Or
that's very funny, because we have the Berlusconi government officially speaking is formally from theoretical point of view is against drugs and also against medical marijuana, but we have an anti-drug coordination inside the Presidenza del Consiglio dei Ministri and the central government, and this office has set last year a book about cannabis with only a single topic, cannabis. It is with hundreds and hundreds of pages about against cannabis, but no one single word, no one single page is dedicated to the real problem, so the medical marijuana. So actually we haven't any official statement, neither an official campaign to clarify the position of scientific position, because all the scientific community is very clear, very strong about this point. There is no medical use. There is no possibility of any medical use for a joint of cannabis joint.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think we could expect some statements from the scientific community or from the federal government? Do you think that will come, or will they still keep quiet?
I can tell you my personal experience. When the debate started, I say 7-8 months ago, I got in touch personally with the local governments and also some very important member of parliaments involved and very sensitive about the drug issue. And I asked him to have a statement to launch an action coordinated with other NGOs, a campaign, a letter, something. And I have no answer. The only answer I got at the time, yes, okay, we will see again in end of October and at the beginning of November. And I asked them why. Because there will be a debate in the regional council. And they said yes, but and they said to me, we need your help to draw a report of the opposition. And they said them, but it would senseless, because first it could be a minority report, because the center right is there are fewer than it's in their position in that region and Tuscany region, and the more there is a campaign at any level on a pro-drug lobby. So why not we can arrange a similar and the opposite, showing the real facts, the real data about medical marijuana. Just one point in Oregon, it's one of the states of the United States more with one of the oldest where there is the legalization of medical marijuana. There is a big problem with teenagers because they have access the medical marijuana like medicine. So there are big abuses, and not to mention also the rise of criminality linked to the official business, legal business of medical marijuana. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to be worried about. But until now, we have no debate at all from the central government or local government on any scientist in Italy.
Now, you mentioned these various regions where this will be discussed. You mentioned Emilia-Romagna, for example. When will the debates take place in these other regions? In Tuscany, it's going on right now, but all the other regions, will these debates start, or they have already started?
Yes, the majority have just write the bill to legalize, but we have for now just one certain date. It's about in Tuscany. Okay. It will be discussion in the council to start up this new law in the beginning of November, and the others are not so clear when there will be a debate.
In many countries, media play a big role in promoting or opposing. What about the media's influence in Italy when it comes to the discussion on medical marijuana, so-called medical marijuana, or cannabis or other drugs? Are the media very much in favor of this, or are they opposed to it, or neutral, or just reporting, or?
Yeah, it's difficult to say because we have no debate in the media. I mean, also this information I gave you, I got from my personal contact, local contact, and some local media, very small newspaper, but mainly on internet. So they are a specialized website, mainly anti-prohibitionist. They are in favor of legalization of drugs. And so they run some report with picture, with details, but it's impossible to know for a general population to know something about medical marijuana. Every time I met with a politician, with doctors, I have to explain them all the situation, because no one, also the expert in Italy, doesn't know nothing about that. And I think one reason is why they don't, the promoters of medical marijuana, they do not want any debate, because it's very sensitive. I mean, all the people knows of it. It's dangerous drugs, and no one parents wanted to know that their sons can buy medical marijuana like an aspirin in a pharmacy, in any pharmacies and any place in Italy.
Well, you listened to Fabio Bernabei talking about the situation regarding so-called medical marijuana in Italy. And considering what is going on, we would probably return to Fabio Bernabei later on for further reports. Thank you very much for talking to us.